Hey everyone. In this video we're going to set up a couple of Jenkins jobs with the Sauce OnDemand plugin, and we'll make a couple of minor changes to our code from the previous video so that it will be ready to work with Sauce OnDemand. This video starts with the assumption that you already have a Sauce Labs account and that you have at least one test successfully running from your development environment using Sauce Labs as your remote server. If you aren't there yet, you might want to pause this video and complete the video on adapting your Selenium test to Sauce Labs first. You're also going to need to have Jenkins set up and the necessary permissions to add and administer a new job. Okay, let's get started. Let's go to New Item, and we're going to start with a freestyle project. This will let us run against a single environment. Hit OK. We're going to set our build up just like we normally would. Add a repository. We're going to skip the build triggers since this is just a demo. And then in build environment, you want to add Sauce Lab support. And in the new dialog that shows up, you want to add or enable Sauce Connect. That's the tunnel that will let the browsers running in Sauce Labs automation environment see into your site under test if it's not publicly available. We're going to be testing against desktop browsers. If we wanted to test against mobile device browsers, we would choose Appium, but we're going to choose WebDriver to test against desktop. So we'll choose Windows 10 and a very old version of Firefox. Then we'll add our build steps. I'm going to add a separate test that runs separate script that runs my test. And I have a separate script that tells my application to expect some of the properties to be supplied by Jenkins via environment variables. And that's how the OnDemand plugin works. So in our post-build steps, we will add Sauce Labs Test Publisher. We'll hit save, and that's all you have to do to get a freestyle project ready. Now you do have to make a couple of code changes. If you've already watched the video on setting up your test project to use Sauce Labs, you'll remember that I set up a simplified testing suite here earlier. We're going to use that to demonstrate the changes needed to incorporate Sauce OnDemand. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to remove the browser setting from our desired capabilities. We're setting that here with the for-browser method. We never specified version number or required platform, so we got the defaults there, so we're not going to worry about that. Now I don't know if Nightwatch or WebDriver IO will do this, but WebDriver.js will automatically check for a specific set of environment variables and will configure itself using those variables if it finds them populated. This means that you can very easily store your desired capabilities in a configuration file, regardless of whether or not you're using the OnDemand plugin. So let me show you what those look like real quick. Now these are not the only variables available or in use by the OnDemand plugin, but these are the three variables we need to complete our task. You'll see that I leave them blank by default. The OnDemand plugin will populate them with our selections from the Jenkins interface, and WebDriver.js will automatically pick these up and configure our WebDriver from there. So the only other thing we have to do is we need to write the details of our test to standard out so that the reporter can pick them up. And in JavaScript, we're going to do that with console.log. So the reporter is expecting a couple of specific property names. If you'll remember from our previous video, we got session ID by requesting it from the remote server. And then we just need to include a job name, and we can use the full name that we created right above from the test context. And that's the only changes you have to make in either the freestyle or multi-configuration project. So if we were to commit this now and run the job we just created, it should work. Now let's go look at setting up a multi-configuration job, which will let us run against multiple environments at once. Demo multi. We're going to choose multi-configuration project. Hit OK. Again, we set this up very similar to a regular build. Now I'm setting these up like they were being used for a nightly regression. You are much more likely to be building these into your CD pipeline. So again, we're going to skip the build triggers. Now we're going to get down to the difference. See the axis. We're going to choose an axis here. And what that does is it tells Jenkins to run a collection of jobs that all look exactly like this job except for the axis property. That property will be different each time it runs, and the number of times it runs will be determined by the number of options we choose in that axis. So we're going to choose the WebDriver test. If we chose the Appium test, that would let us run our test suite against mobile device browsers rather than desktop browsers. And I'll actually show you after this a couple of jobs we've already built that run both against a set of mobile environments and a set of desktop environments. So in this case, we'll just pick any collection of browsers we feel like running against. And we'll scroll through this incredibly long list. I know this is ugly, and they could have probably done a better job with this, but it is very helpful. So we need to enable Sauce Lab support, just as we did last time. Your credentials should populate. Enable Sauce Connect. We do not fill in anything in the WebDriver or Appium fields here because we've already done that in the access dialog above. We'll configure the same build steps. We'll use the exact same test script. And we will add the reporter again. Save, and you'll see that it's ready to run on 4 different environments. So as I said earlier, you'll probably build this into a CD pipeline. If we wanted to run this right now, we would just hit build now. But rather than doing that, I'm just going to take you back out to the main screen and show you a pair of jobs that are already doing just that. In fact, you can see that the UI automation matrix, that's our desktop test, is running right now. So if we pop in there, you'll see the Mac Firefox 48 is either not started yet or is completed. It looks like it's not completed yet because that's Firefox 45. This gives us our job results. This is what we're writing back to standard out. These will connect back to the Sauce Labs dashboard. Oh, and we have a failure there. We'll go investigate that later. And a little bit later, we'll get our mobile browsers running. This is Google Nexus and iPad Retina. You can see the report again. And this pretty much wraps this video up. Good luck setting this up yourself, and I hope everything works out well.